is probably about 10 pounds, so I would say anywhere from 7 to 10 pounds of clay to start off with the hump. You've spiral wedged it, you have your cone sitting up, and you're just going to plop this down in the middle of your wheel. Before you get water anywhere on your hands or on your clay, you're going to slowly spin your wheel and start smacking this. I'm going in and I'm kind of going down a little bit to make sure that it's attached. I'm not hitting it up here. I'm hitting it with the palms and the heels of my hand where I'm the strongest. This will help you get this a little bit more on center. Before you begin, okay? So the great thing about throwing on a hump is that you just wedge one piece of clay and you throw lots of pieces from it. So I'm going to cone up. Now you can see this bottom part is not centered. That's fine. We're only going to pull or throw from right here. I want everybody to make sure that they have nice tall humps. Okay, so like think of throwing off the top of a mountain instead of a flat hill. So I'm getting this prepared. So you can see the top part centered. I've noticed with this bee mix that you have to make sure it stays wet. It gets dry really quickly, and as soon as it gets dry, it sticks to your hands and gets off center. Okay, so there I'm centered. So for measuring your clay, I want to measure the width. I told you that I do a C, so I've done it long enough that I know. You know, you could do this and know, okay, I'm going from the inside of my finger, you know, to my first knuckle on my thumb. However you decide to measure, but make sure that you're measuring. Why are you measuring?
You can make same.
Yep, so they can be consistent. So not only do I measure the width, but I'm also going to measure where I'm going to put my false bottom. And I usually do 3 fingers down, and then where my pinky is, I make a little crease there. Okay, so that's 3 fingers, and then where my pinky is. That's your false bottom. So in the past, you've done your bottom down on the wheel head. Now this is like your pretend wheel head. Going for the center hole. Now, this is my bottom, so when I'm putting my hole down, I need to stop a little bit before that bottom. Then from there, pull the floor. Now, you can choose to have a flat floor, and then you could trim a foot or trim it flat afterwards, or you can have a round bottom and trim a foot. Obviously, if it's a round bottom, you'd have to trim a foot so it would stand up. Okay, so this is one place that you can help prevent S-cracks, and that's by compressing your floor. You guys practiced that and did that on your bases. It's really important to do it here. So I'm just taking my sponge and applying downward pressure, compacting that floor. I'm lining up those clay particles so that they're tighter and hopefully won't S-crack. All right, from here I start throwing. I'm going to go down to my false bottom. Sometimes I start to lose my false bottom, like this little mark, so I just go back in and push it in more. Now I'm thinking about volume. If I had my most favorite drink in here, I want a whole bunch of it. Every time you pull your wall, your pot should be getting taller or bigger. If it's not, you need to adjust something you're doing. Okay, so there's the basic shape I'm going to. Most definitely big enough that I can fit my whole wrist in it. Metal ribs. If you haven't played around with these, do. Experiment, try them out. So, using a metal rib, I've seen a lot of people, they just like hold the rib here and do something. I don't know what they're doing. That's not good. Don't do that. It's just like throwing it with a sponge. So I support it on the inside, and I'm pressing my inside fingers against this rib on the outside. A couple things it does is it helps clean up that slip. So when I go to take this pot off, I'm not getting my fingerprints all on it. And you can bend it to get different shapes. I'm actually going to try to straighten this out a little bit. I'm planning on doing some print silk screening on here, so I want this to be as flat as I can get it. Okay, again, make sure that your bottom of your pot on the inside doesn't have water. It's nice and clean. Now, beginners, a cup is the most intimate object that you will make in pottery. Why do you think I say that? Why is it intimate? What a weird thing to say. That's right, because your mouth touches it. It's kind of like you're giving a sweet kiss to whoever receives your pot, as long as it's nice and smooth. So, with that said, you want to take your chamois and go over the rim. So you have a nice smooth rim. I've seen a lot of people take their chamois and just like press down just like this. You don't want to do that. You want to make like a little tunnel, like so. And then rest that tunnel on there and support it on both sides. All right. One last clean up here. Another thing that I've observed through making pots or making cups is if the rim is too thin, it's not a sweet kiss. It's uncomfortable. If it's too thick, I feel like I'm gonna like dribble. Do you know what I'm saying? Have you ever drank out of like a mug that's too thick? It doesn't feel right. So make sure that it's just right in between. All right, at this point you have to dry your hands off completely, nice and clean. Well, we don't say clean, we'll say dry. Take your wooden knife. I want to have the option to trim a foot on here. So my bottom is about right here. I'm going to go below that so I have some room to trim a foot. So I take my wooden knife, the angled side to the left, and I make that divot.